Well, thank you for joining me on this question. This question, we've got a bit of a navigation bearing question. And it reads this. From lookout number 1, a fire is spotted on a bearing of 050 degrees. From lookout number 2, the fire is seen on a bearing of 020 degrees. And lookout number 2 happens to be 10 kilometres from lookout number 1 on a bearing of 120 degrees. We usually say 120, don't say 120 when we're reading bearings. Assume that the fire and the two lookouts are all on the same horizontal level. Find how far the fire is from each lookout. Okay. So let's have a look at lookout 1, and let's put 1 here, and from lookout 1, that's north, that's east, 090, that's south, 180, that's west, 270. So I'll just put a little cross there, and we'll put number 1. Now, along 10 kilometres away, we've got lookout number 2 on a bearing of 120. Now, 120 is 30 degrees more than east. You see, it's like a clock. Every hour hand is 30 degrees apart. So east is like along the 3 o'clock direction. 120 is along the 4 o'clock direction, because that's an extra 30 degrees, and it's always from north, which is 000 is north. So along this direction here, we've got lookout number 2 somewhere. So let's put lookout number 2 here. Now that's 090 from lookout number 2, 000 from lookout 2, 270 west, 180 south. We're told that this distance from here to here is 10, so I'm going to put 10 kilometres right there. Now let's put our fire directions. 050, so that's 30, that's 45, somewhere along here is 050, and 020 from lookout number 2, so that's like 30, 30 and 30, so 220 is like somewhere along this line here. 020 degrees from lookout number 2. And here we have our fire right here. This is our fire, little fire. I don't know if that looks like a fire or not, but anyway. Okay, well, let's put some angles in here. Here we go. Well, if this is 020 and this is 050, does it make sense to put a 30 here? Okay, let's fill in the angles that we do now. Now, the vertically opposite angle, that means this angle is 30 degrees here. Okay, we've got one angle there. Good. Now, if that angle here is 50 degrees, got to follow our logic. If that's 50, what is this angle inside the triangle? Well, let me show you using highlighters here. This yellow angle was the direction from 1 to 2. That was 120 direction. This is 050 direction. So the angle between them is 70. So you could see if this is 50 up here, if the green colour is 50 and the yellow colour is 120, then the difference between them is going to be, in here, is going to be 70 degrees. All right, so let's just put that in here, and let's just write that 70 degrees. Great. We've got all the angles we need. We only need two. We've got 70, we've got 30, that's 100. We know that this other angle has to be 80 degrees. Yeah? And now we can find how far the fire is from each lookout. We want this side and this side. Now, do you know sine rule? So opposite the 30 degrees is the 10 kilometers. So that fraction means 10 over sine 30 will equal, so this is using the sine rule, which is A over sine A equals B over sine B equals C over sine C. So 10 side over sine A will equal, and we'll find, let's call this X, and let's call this Y. X over the opposite angle to X is 80, sine 80 degrees. And then Y, the opposite of Y is the 70 degree angle. So that will be sine of 70. And that's using the sine rule, side over sine of its opposite, of the angle that it is opposite to. So X is opposite, Y is opposite 70. So we use the 70 degrees under Y. 10 is opposite the 30 degrees. So we put sine of 30 degrees underneath the 10. X is opposite the 80. So we put X over sine of 80. See, they go together. And then you pick up your calculator and do the math. Do I have a calculator here? I'm going to find X first. And I'll do that by saying I'm going to take sine 80 up to multiply with the 10. And I'm going to put that in my calculator. And here we go. 10 times sine of 80 equals 9.8 divided by sine of 30. So we get X is approximately 19.696. So I'll just make that 70, and we're dealing with kilometers because that's 10 kilometers. All right, so X is about 19.70 kilometers, and I'll do that to 2 decimal places. Now I'll find the Y, and I will use the original fraction that we know both of them. So I'm going to take 10 over sine of 30 equals Y over sine of 70. Take that times, divide 70, sine 70 up to be 10 times sine of 70. We've got sine of 30 underneath, and we've got Y. See what I did there? I took the divide sine 70 up to be multiplied by sine 70. Just like I did here, I took the divide sine 80 up to be times sine 80. Put that in the calculator. 10 times sine of 70 divided by sine of 30 equals, it's not as big because the angle's not as big as 80 degrees, so the answer opposite 70 will be Y is approximately 18.793, so I'll just put 79. Oh, got to put the kilometers to 2 decimal places, so 18.79 kilometers. All right, I hope this has helped. Until next time, stay happy.